Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today for one of our Forte Conquer Your Career sessions. If this is your first time joining us for an event in this series, our goal is to really highlight all of the amazing opportunities for women in business. And each month, we'd like to highlight a different industry or functional area so that folks can get a full sense of all of their professional opportunities. And of course, asking our amazing women leaders to sit on this panel and share their perspectives and experiences with you all. So we're very excited that you're here today and joining us for learning a little bit more about entertainment and media. I know this is a really, really meaty topic, so let's jump right in so we can get started. Wonderful. All right, everyone. So, a career in entertainment and media can be exciting and passion driven while also coming with challenges that are unique to these industries. Our panelists today have each carved out their own unique paths across these spaces and bring a range of perspectives on what it can really take to build a career here. They'll share the knowledge, skills, and experiences that have helped them succeed and that can help MBA women and others in the room think about their own paths forward. So, let's get started. All right. So first up, I'm very, very pleased to introduce you to Alex Pilkinghorn. Alex is a senior manager of content partnerships, news and live at Hulu, and comes to us with an MBA from UCLA Anderson School of Management. Alex, welcome, welcome. We're thrilled to have you here today. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat. So I've been at Hulu for about 4 years. I did an executive MBA, so I worked here throughout getting my MBA, which was great and challenging in all the ways you can imagine, but really good. I came to Hulu. My background actually is in journalism, so I was in New York for a long time. I started on the Hill in Washington, D.C. as an intern, and then moved into the media side of things where I was at Vanity Fair for a long time and then the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. And then came over to Hulu to work sort of cross-functionally across our platform and then also with partners like ABC News to create content for our Hulu viewership and then also work on live programming like music festivals, etc. So yeah, not the most orthodox path into entertainment, but I got here.
I think your path is fascinating, and I know our students are really excited to hear more. So thank you for being here, and it's going to be great. Okay, so next up, we're going to introduce our next panelist, Jie Sun. Jie is an ESG strategist and comms lead at Sony Interactive Entertainment and comes to us with an MBA from the University of Oxford. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Jie. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about your background and story?
Yeah, sure, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm currently as working as an ESG strategist and comms lead as SIE. What I'm doing mostly is like I'm leading the ESG communications across SIE and delivering some ESG related compliance and disclosure, and also supporting some internal campaigns. And before Sony, I did an MBA at Oxford University, and prior to that, I also had journalism experience. I had a journalism degree, and being a journalist for 4 and 5 years, reporting on like different issues like business, tech, social, and yeah, that's my journey. Yeah.
I love it. This is going to be a really great conversation. I love that we have two folks with journalism backgrounds. It's going to be great. All right. And then last but certainly not least, I'm excited to introduce everyone to you, Welch. You as the Senior Manager of Policy and Content Governance e-commerce at TikTok. She also comes to us with an MBA from UT Austin McComb School of Business. You welcome. Please feel free to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much, and super excited to be here. First of all, I don't have a journalism background. I pretty much was like did I was a little bit, I think I first was a chemical engineer major in college, but decided to switch to English and later basically follow the business path, got like international business degrees, and then later had my MBA from McCombs. Before I went into tech, I was in academia. So, and then I did a working professional MBA while I was working, and then pivoted to tech. My first job in tech was in Indeed. Was very fortunate to do international business because that's what I'm super passionate about, to work with a very diverse, like people from different cultural backgrounds globally. And so I was building out the trust and safety team in APAC region for Indeed, the job search platform. And from there, I moved to Meta. I was leading the regulatory risk management in North America. And from there, I moved to TikTok. So I was leading the content governance team for TikTok Shop in the US. So I don't know if that kind of followed the path of, breaking into entertainment. I feel like I was pretty much doing trust and safety in tech, and then moved around to where, TikTok Shop is. So that's a little bit about myself and my journey.
I think what's great about all three of you is that you have such unique and different backgrounds, but they've all led you to business and they've all led you to these industries. So it's going to be a great conversation, and I am excited. So we're going to stop sharing our screen and let's start with our panel questions. We have some predetermined ones, and then we do hope, just for folks who are on the call, we do hope to have Q&A at the end of the session. So as you're hearing from folks today, if there's something that sticks out in your mind as a question, feel free to put that in the Q&A section of the Zoom platform. And if we have time at the end, I'm going to be looking in that space to pull questions. So just as an FYI for folks. All right, so let's get things started. Our first question is for GIE. How did you know that working in your current industry was the right career choice for you? How did you determine which area of entertainment or media would be the most interesting? So if you want to go ahead and answer that question.
Um, yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something like when people say like when you know, you know. I think
Yes.
methodologies applies to like the industry work as well. So I have a journalism background, and I've just always been very passionate about storytelling and see the impact of the stories. So and I noticed that when I have some like available time, I spend most of my free time in like films or gaming or yeah, like TV series. So when it comes to the career choice, it's just very natural for me to focus on the entertainment industry. So post MBA, I kind of like I was thinking, okay, maybe the entertainment industry would be perfect because it's kind of like a perfect combination of my passion and my kind of like skill sets in storytelling. That's how I decided my career to the entertainment sector. And I know it's correct for me because it's just like every time like when we have like town hall or we have kind of like some like Sony showcase, we kind of like exhibit our like stories, films we've made, and the gaming the games we've produced. I just feel the touch in my heart, and that's how I kind of like feel like this is a right path for me. And I chose gaming because yeah, because I play games by myself, and yeah, that's how I how I how I chose gaming. Yeah.
I like that you talked about how, in your free time, you're in the things that kind of like fill your cup and give you energy, you were able to identify those pieces. And it's very clear just hearing you speak how that has really shaped your path. So it's
Yeah.
great to see. It's great to see that. And I love that you love gaming and you get to work at a company that does that all the time. So that is wonderful. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear more. All right, so our next question, it's going to be to two of you, to you and GIE. We'll start with you. What are some unique advantages to working in your industry, and what would you say are some of the challenges? So you will start with you.
Yeah, so I think. TikTok is just so much fun. So I think that is the biggest advantage is just it's so much fun in this industry. I love it like when, like every so often we're like, oh, this creator is going live. Everybody be ready and be prepared to help them, right? So that's how sometimes it's just like multiple team members like from across functionally will be supporting that big go live moment. And also we have those like in-person summit sessions hosted in various places throughout the US. In those sessions, we would be talking to the creators to educate them like how to create better content, right? So that's beneficial to the creators, also beneficial to the users. So I really love the fun aspect of this industry and how we can basically, just create this kind of creative and fun environment to everybody. So that's what I love about it.
That sounds wonderful, and it does sound very fun. Um, Jie, you're up next. So, same question to you.
Sure. Um, I think some unique advantages is kind of like the same. It's fun. So when you have kind of like company events or you have also some like sometimes some like benefits from the company, it's like you can kind of like yeah, we can kind of like see how the games are produced. You can kind of like engage with the studios and it's just fun. And also kind of like the cultural scale. So in game, because a lot of people play games, and the impact you've made is actually huge. So when you kind of like do a project, it usually kind of like engage with lots of teams across the globe, and when you know that the impact you would make is huge, this feels good, I think. Yeah. And some challenges in my like in this industry, I would say maybe it's more related to my role because I'm doing like sustainability related things. So the challenges may be like the regulation is evolving very fast, and how do you kind of like balance the creativity and the compliance, and also sometimes also a lot of times when people see like, oh, you're doing ESG at Sony, what a gaming company is doing to save the environment. So it's sometimes it's like hard to change people's perceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be challenging when when you're doing all this important work. But there's kind of this there might be this kind of idea of what things could be, or what things aren't actually. That's kind of challenging people. So I could see how that would
Yeah.
be tough, specifically for your role. Yeah, definitely. But again, really, really great to hear from both of you, and just kind of hearing how dynamic the industry is really exciting. So it's clear just from listening to both of you that you have a lot of passion for what you do. Okay, so our next question is going to go to two of you again. So the question will be for GIE and Alex. We'll start with GIE. What was your first real break into the industry, and what made the difference in getting that opportunity? What's the most replicable lesson from that experience for someone early in their career today? So we'll start with GIE.
Yes. So, how I broke into this industry was that, I think, so I did like two things. The first is like networking. The second is utilizing my existing background or skills. So the first, when it comes to networking, when I was kind of like doing like research of the entertainment landscape, I kind of like have a list of the target companies and like who I can contact from like LinkedIn or my previous workmates or people. So I kind of like have that list and I kind of reach out to people proactively. And it's like sometimes people talk to people and like they introduce me to the hiring manager, or and it's just better than like you just apply from nowhere. It's like you just like apply to everywhere. And the second thing I would say how I broke into is that I was thinking, okay, what role I can do in the industry? so I was thinking, okay, I had been a journalist for like 5 years. Maybe I can utilizing my storytelling skills to kind of like break into the industry. So while I was kind of like looking for roles, I intentionally look for roles that needs like great communication and writing skills. And that's how I found this role. Like at the time they were kind of like thinking about doing some reports. And that's how I approached the hiring manager. And kind of sell my skills of writing. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see how having that, again, that storytelling aspect of things would be really important in a role like yours for sure. Alex, same question to you. What was your real break in the industry?
Yeah, I always, of course, endorse networking and doing that, but I did get my job at Hulu via LinkedIn, so I also tell people like I also got my job at the New York Times that way, like do apply cold. Like you've got a shot there. So I think that what's really interesting about the industry right now is how much it's changing and things are conflating. So like news, for example, there used to be sort of like more of a third rail between entertainment and news, and now they're aggregating a little bit more. And so I think that for me, what I would say to somebody who's looking for, to make a change into entertainment is that it's become like a really entrepreneurial enterprise. There's not super stratified paths, I wouldn't say now that, you go from the mailroom up to X, Y, and Z. And so I think that really doing an audit of your skill set and seeing how that may be applicable to a place that doesn't look quite so linear, is really important. And, going back to storytelling, really being able to tell that narrative and to show and have some sort of proof of concept of how you may be able to plug in and add value, I think is really important. And so, of course, like being able to get in front of the right people and just talking to people that you admire or reaching out, um, whether that's cold or through friends, I think is fantastic. And then really being able to have a crystallized vision of how you think that you may be able to interplay within an existing company.
That makes a lot of sense. And I love that it sounds like you had both like a warm networking strategy and just like a cold application
Yeah,
strategy, and you just kind of
apply.
never know which one is going to work.
Totally. And then you're still likely going to have to obviously make that case, however you
Hmm.
get in front of the hiring manager, however you get in the room. So I still think like that really galvanized narrative is important.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you both for your thoughts on that. Our next question will go back to Alex. I think you're the next two questions actually, which
Right.
is great. I know. So your
Yeah,
next question,
audience.
Alex, is it can sometimes seem like the entertainment and media sectors prioritize industry experience and networking, which we've kind of talked about. How do you recommend that an MBA student communicate the value of their degree in the hiring process?
Yeah, I think that like for me, I don't work on a finance team. I don't work, that's not my like again, like I don't have the clearest through line to an MBA in terms of what I do day to day, sort of what my goals are. But I think that there's real value in a business degree for pretty much anybody at any company agnostic of industry. So I think that when I was applying to business schools and sort of evaluating whether or not that was something I wanted to do, somebody said something to me that was, I thought, very salient, which was, listen, you're probably never going to be in charge of like, you know, the 10K statement. Like that's not going to be like your value proposition, but being able to speak fluently and be able to talk in some of these some with everything that you learn in your MBA creates real value, whatever it is that you're doing, being able to speak to a P&L, being able to talk about like, shareholder value or whatever it is that whatever your KPIs are, whatever you're thinking about, just having some understanding of that, I think is really important. And I think that, there's also just a lot of value in, again, being able to say that like I've really invested in wanting to become better within business. I want to be a better leader. I want to manage better. Like eventually, I want a strong reporting line. So all of these things that you learn while getting your MBA, I think whatever room you're in will have value and will be really important. And again, it's just about telling that story about like, this is what I called from it. This is how it's valuable to me. So, whether you studied marketing or, focused on marketing or focused on finance or accounting or whatever that is, this is how I plug it into what I do. And my experience so far, at least, has been very warm and that people really value sort of that ancillary or, primary skill set.
I love that you mentioned, being able to talk about all the different things that you've learned and being able to converse fluently with people from different teams. Even if you're not on a finance team, being able to speak the same language is really
And ask the
helpful.
right questions
Yep,
and it's confidence building, right? Like, you're like, okay, I do deserve a seat at this table. Even if I'm not running it, I can understand it and speak to it and provide value there.
absolutely. And you do deserve a seat at the table, Alex.
We all do.
We all do. We all do. All right, next question to you, Alex. What's one resource you'd recommend everyone in this room subscribe to right now to stay up to date in the entertainment and media industries? Also, kind of beyond articles and news, how do you actively build industry knowledge? Is it through, projects, different communities you're a part of, conferences? Are you doing any kind of like side work or projects that are keeping you like excited and current? Would love to hear your thoughts.
Totally. So I'm a big believer in reading the trades. Like I think that the industry moves very, very quickly, and especially right now. And being able again to have that fluency is really important. And to me, like my hack is just subscribe to the newsletters. So like the Wrap, Deadline, Variety, like they're sending out breaking news all day long. That's their business model. And so you don't need to like be reading the homepage all day, but if you can see like yesterday, like WBD re-engaged with Paramount on talks, that's going to be really important. That's interesting. Like Netflix immediately responded. And so like being able to come in and just talk about those things and discuss what's happening, I think is very important. Certainly, I think makes people take you seriously in terms of your acumen in the industry. It also is like how you sort of know like who's hiring, what's changing. Like, do you want to join Paramount right now at a time that it's like in a lot of flux? Like, what's going on with the Allisons? Like, all of these things. Washington Post just had massive layoffs. Is that a place that you want to turn to? Like, I think that that's really valuable. Um, so that is one thing I recommend. Um, and then, and there's like a million podcasts. There's too many podcasts. I'd probably like to listen to all of them, but like The Town is a really good one, Matt Bellany's podcast. Just sort of finding whatever naturally works within your lifestyle, but that you can like feel like you can talk about what's happening in entertainment. Because people will ask that. They'll ask that in an interview, they'll ask that in an intro meeting. And then in terms of sort of other things to do, you know, I live in LA, which makes things a little bit easier in entertainment because there's so like sort of any group that you join, there's gonna like be a through line there. But there's a lot of different like whether it's a Slack group or whether it's a LinkedIn group, like there are a lot of entertainment groups, and I am not prepared here with a list of them, but if anybody wanted to reach out to me, please, I'd be happy to share that and sort of what's worked for me. But I think that finding these smaller cohorts is really important in terms of sharing information, talking about what's happening in the industry, and then like really sharing jobs is really valuable. People do that a lot. Again, UCLA is very entertainment focused, so that's helpful. But alumni groups, those communities, like there is entertainment now has become so big. Like Austin's an entertainment hub. Like, Chicago has a lot going. Like it's not so centric around LA and New York anymore. So I think that wherever you're in school, there's going to be a significant cohort of people interested in this. And um, I take every information. I mean, I would take every information. Like I would do like one a day if I could. I think they're so valuable. But like anybody that reaches out to me from Anderson, like I always meet with, we've had tons of people from Anderson come through as interns and get hired. And so I would not be shy in reaching out to anybody within your network.
I think that's a great way to end kind of your thoughts on the matter because it just really emphasizes the power of the MBA network. And obviously, like you have such an affinity for UCLA. And I think, I hope the folks on the call today do hear that, like, it is okay to reach out to somebody that you don't know and kind of, as long as you're explaining why that you want to have a 15 to 30-minute chat, that's usually, welcome from folks that are on the
Totally.
other side. Awesome. Okay, well, we are lickety split through these questions, and we are actually at our last question for the day, which is incredible. So you please close us out. Here's the last question. How have the other women in your network been a help to you throughout your career? What are some ways, both big and small, that you've personally championed women in your field? We'd love to hear a little more.
Mhm. Yeah, so I feel very fortunate to been working with super talented women throughout my career. So say, my manager is super just ton of knowledge in this trust and safety space, and my team member is the same. So I just want to say, like, when you're thinking about women around your network who can help you, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, who are maybe title above you, right? It could be anyone. Could be someone who is your peer from a sister team, you work on a project. It could be somebody who reports to you, because we all have different skill sets, we have different background, so you can learn from anyone around you. So I also feel like, for me personally, like there were women who I consider like mentor and has significantly shaped my career, were actually outside of tech before I break into the tech industry, that because like some of the challenges or problems we're trying to solve, right, that they are universal. It's not defined by where they come from or what job they take. So I really appreciate those wisdom and those mentor that gave me early in my career. And even today, when I have some questions, I would go back to ask them. Some are work questions, some could be just life questions, right? So we kind of build a friendship throughout that way. And in terms of how I supported like women, in my work, whether big or small, I think that of like, say, there are a lot of women on my team, and they come in different maybe phase in their career. Some may be like a new graduate who just received a college degree. Some may be a mid-career who wants to get promoted, be in the industry for a few years. And some might be at the cusp of being promoted. And how do we help that person to get promoted? So for promotion specific, I feel like sometimes women can be a little bit more soft-spoken, myself included, right? So I'm just a little bit kind of shy about putting all those big claims about what I did, what huge achievements I did. But when it comes to promotion write-up and promotion, some at TikTok depends on, what level. Sometimes promotion will include interviews. So like I help my team members rehearse those conversations. So I think that was the help I provide my team member at that stage in that career. And also one specific person on my team, I really, really kudos to her for know what she wants. So early on in our one-on-one, she would be telling me, this is what I want to do. I want to be a people manager in X amount of time. I want to be there. And this are what of the titles I want to be, specific responsibility I want to have. So I want to say, like, just own your career path, right? Really have a design for yourself, and don't hesitate to communicate that to your manager, right? They need to be very clear to know what you want to do so they can help you. So And once I recognized that person's strength, I was also able to kind of connect with my early career new grad and encourage them to learn from that person who is so good about articulating and planning out her career path. So I think those are the things that I've supported women on my team throughout my journey.
Thank you, you. That, I mean, I really appreciate what you said at the end about like having a design for your career and communicating that in a really clear way because that I think is just such great advice at lots of different stages. So thank you for that. All right, everybody, that we are now in the Q&A component of our session. So if you had questions that came up for any of our three panelists or the group at large, feel free to put it in the Q&A section of our chat. I am going to, we have a couple of questions in here, so I'm going to read through them really quickly. This question, I know, Alex, you mentioned you were in an executive MBA program, and you, I think you were as well. Is that correct? You both were. So this question might be for either of you. So can you just kind of walk us through your consideration process when you were looking at all the different types of MBA programs? You know, there's part-time, full-time, online, executive, hybrid. There's so many options. How did you decide on the program that you chose? What were kind of your key consideration sets?
I would say for me, if I'm being totally transparent, like I didn't have at this point, I didn't feel like I had the option to take 2 years off in terms of where I was in my career. I love my job. Um, feel really lucky and honored to be here. So did not did not want to step away from it. And also felt like so that was, obviously a big consideration. If I was going to get an MBA, I likely wanted to continue working. But then also I think that I am older. I've been in the workforce or had been, for like 13 years at that point, I think. And so, the curriculum's really important in terms of what you're learning. And, so for me, there was a lot of focus on like leadership and executive training and things like this I felt like were made sense for where I was. Maybe a little bit more sense than a full-time MBA curriculum for me. Um, but so yeah, and it helped that both my company and UCLA are very supportive of sort of that dual track. So yeah, I feel lucky that I was able to find that.
Yeah, so a little bit similar to Alex, I also was I really loved my work in academia. So I was a little bit not sure, like once I finished MBA, would I switch industry? So I think that's part of the reason like why I decided to continue work while getting the MBA. So and I guess the question was also, would you do differently? I personally wouldn't. I feel like I'm very thankful for the program. I met a ton of great people, and also I had amazing careers afterwards, so I wouldn't do differently.
Yeah, I think it's so you both touch on how important it is to take stock of, where you're at, what are you wanting to be doing moving forward? Is, a full-time program a good fit? And the answer for, a lot of folks is not right now. And that's completely fine. And I think that's the great thing about the MBA is there's so many different ways that you can, choose to go about that educational component. And different formats are right for different people. So I'm really glad that you both are on this panel and can kind of speak to that thought process because I know lots of people are going through it too. Okay, so we have a question in here that's a little bit more focused on someone that's wanting to career pivot into entertainment and media. And thankfully, all of you kind of come from really great different backgrounds and have found your way into the entertainment and media spaces. So they're just wanting to, I think this person is just wanting to understand, to what extent is a career switcher, perhaps at a disadvantage going into this process? And I think that question might be something that a lot of, incoming MBA students are feeling since I think a lot of folks are coming in, unless you're, you know, in programs, I think Alex, like you and you, where you are maybe a little bit more identified in what you want to be doing, a lot of folks are doing some sort of, significant switch, whether it's switching industries, switching functional areas. And so they're just kind of wanting to get a sense of what does being a career switcher look like if you're trying to make your way in entertainment and media. So I open it up to the group. Any thoughts about things that you can do to be successful in the industry and of course in your MBA internship or job search?
Well, one thing I would say is it's definitely becoming increasingly more common. So I would not let it deter you. There are people, I meet people all the time who've done so many different things, whether it's consulting or law or, you know, government, whatever that is, who have made this switch into entertainment. I mean, these are massive companies that have so many different areas that need coverage. So I think it's more I think it's more common than we think, and there's likely like a Lego slot for you somewhere. It just takes, I think, sometimes a little bit of digging and a little bit of creativity.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like I saw people like I see people like my colleagues like he transferred from kind of like pharmaceutical like pharmacy to finance and then finance to like SIE like our company. So I think it's super normal to switch industries as long as you have like skill sets to use like like for me, I was using kind of like my storytelling skills to make the pivot, and my colleague like he did a finance, so he kind of like he's now working in the finance team, in the company. So I think as long as you can transfer that skills, should be fine.
That makes complete sense. Yes, really thinking about those transferable skills. I had an old supervisor in higher education who said, you learn something from every job that you're in, and all of that is beneficial in the long run. So being able to think about how what you've already done fits into the jobs that are of interest in any industry, but definitely in entertainment and media, sounds like it's an important thing to do. So thank you both for sharing your thoughts on this section. All right, we have a question in here about skills. What's one skill you wish you had learned earlier, or one skill that you have found to be the most useful? Any thoughts?
I definitely like, for me, the financials were just something that I had such a blind spot to. It just was not
Yeah.
at all my competency, and like I had just no confidence around it. And I think that the MBA was really valuable there. Like I said, even if I'm not building the models, at least I can read them and generally understand what they're saying.
That makes complete sense. Being able to use the MBA curriculum to fill in kind of those gaps that you might feel you have in different areas, definitely really important. Any other skills that you found a lot that y'all have found along the way that you found to be most helpful? Just feel free to throw in the chat if you think of something. But I think that's a great thing to mention, Alex. Um, okay, so we have someone who I think is in undergrad, which is exciting. They're wanting to know if you have any recommendations for undergrads who hope to work in entertainment right out of college. I know we have di folks here might have different paths than that, so um, we'll we might not be able to answer it fully. But if anyone has any thoughts, let me know.
So I don't know if you consider technical entertainment, but there are lots of undergrads there. And if anything, I feel like the hiring strategy has shifted to hire more undergrads. So I believe there's tons of opportunities in various teams. So yeah, I feel like you can look up the career portals for the company and see, what line of work interests you. But undergrad, it's definitely feasible.
Yeah, that's a great comment of just, keep an eye out. It sounds like we've talked about it seems like a very dynamic space to be. And so it sounds like from what I'm hearing that things move kind of quickly. So making sure that you're keeping an eye on things is important. One question folks had in the Q&A is about summer internships. I'm so sorry if I have completely forgotten about GIE if you had a summer internship or not. But just anyone who can speak to whether they've managed MBA interns or kind of been on the other side of it in the interview process for MBA interns. If you can just talk maybe a little bit more about what that process looks like, how folks can stand out if you've been on that side of the interview table, I think that would be something folks would want to hear.
Yeah, we've definitely had MBA interns on our team, which is fantastic because they tend to be like highly motivated, very good, very good, really strong interns. I think that I would reach out to anybody from your alumni network that works at one of those places just to hopefully, there are a lot of applicants, but to, just try and get in front of the right people. We try to obviously look at like we go through everything. So as many people as sort of you can get, um, visibility is fantastic. And I think that then once you're here, like you're likely going to be given a project or, something to work on. And obviously that's where you can show your abilities best. But like my biggest recommendation is just meet with as many people as possible. Like you have 8 weeks, 6 weeks to set up coffee chats, ask people to lunch, ask people for one-on-ones. And I would just like meet as many people, ask how you can help, ask if you can ride along on projects they're working on. Just as many people as you, once you're graduating the following spring, that winter, you can start reaching out and email, the better. And so like how can you make yourself memorable? How can you engage? Like go to happy hours, go to if there's events where you're like, I don't know if I don't really know people or I'm an intern, like should I be going to this? Like make it so that when you want to reach out to people 6 months later, they remember you and are excited about the prospect of working with you.
I think that's a great way to frame it, and I appreciate you talking about meeting with as many people as you can. I'm assuming it's folks that work on cross-functional teams, maybe folks that are above, below, everyone
Totally,
under the
exactly. Like
sun.
people who will be hiring, but also people who were just hired. Like,
Mhm.
there's always going to be former MBA interns. Like, how was their path? Yeah, as many people's trajectories as you can metabolize, I think the better.
That makes complete sense. All right, team, we are almost at the 45. So with that, I will have to close the Q&A, but I wanted to thank everyone for their thoughtful questions. I know that I think this has been a really great conversation, and I've certainly learned a lot from our three amazing panelists today. So a big round of applause for them and a big thank you for them for taking time out of their day to share their experiences and their knowledge. Just know that we are forever grateful on the Forte community side of things. So thanks, everyone. And again, thanks to our attendees for joining us today. We hope that you'll be at another Forte event soon. We have these Conquer Your Careers. We try to do them once a month during the academic year. So in March, we'll be having our Conquer Your Career. I got the internship. Now what? So we'll be featuring three second year MBAs who have gone through the internship application process. They've had their internship and have some great ideas and experiences to share with you all. So we hope to see you then. But if you need anything, let us know. Otherwise, we hope to see you real soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.